Good morning and welcome to Edoscope. I remain your anchor, Dr. Iroro Stephen Izu. And today we're going to continue with a series of quotable quotes for consciousness and change. Now, of course, there are people who have gone ahead of us, and there are people who have experienced life in different dimensions. So we try to learn, from their wisdom, we try to learn from their experiences, we try to learn, so that we'll not recast, the same mistakes that they made. So then we're going to begin with Edmund Burke. Edmund Burke was an Englishman. He was a statesman, par excellence. He was somebody who was known for his steadfastness, to uprightness, and he has left us with quite a number of write-ups, and we want to just take one of his quotes, today. He said that all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. That is just a blast. Just a blast. Now because we live in a society where people complain, people lament, people um, try to trade blame. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to wade in, to rectify things, to remedy things, to bring about some form of solutions. And as human beings, we are not actually born, to be people, that will be making, complaints or lamentations. I actually, for one, I personally, don't like, this lifestyle of trying to trade blame or trying to, transfer, responsibility. No, I try to do my bits. I try to do my bits, try to do my best, in whatever circumstance I find myself. I don't try to, excuse myself, from what I'm supposed to do. No, so when people complain that we have bad leaders, that we have people who are misruling us, who are misleading us, and so on and so forth, what have you done as a good man? He said, evil triumph when good men do nothing. Now, it is not everybody cannot be president of this country, and everybody cannot be governors. Everyone cannot be politician, so to say. However, everybody can be meaningfully impactful to society. So in your own little avenue, in your own little, quarters, what are you doing differently, that will impact the lives of the people, that will bring about some form of change? Because we see darkness, we experience darkness when there is no light. When there is light, the darkness disappears. So good men should represent light, while bad men should represent darkness. So if we have more darkness than light, that means we have more evil men, than good men. So the good men must bear the torch, must take up the responsibility, of being the light, to their world. That was what Edmund Burke was trying to, pass, to us, as as responsible human beings, Now the second quote we're going to take is from Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka. Now Wole Soyinka, is a literary giant. He's a literary giant. He's somebody that is a colossus. He's a dinosaur when it comes to intellectualism. He's a man who is highly cerebral, celebrated all over the world. A man who has been imprisoned, whose life has been endangered, who has been exiled, for standing up to the truth, for speaking truth, to power. He is a man that is very hardworking, highly disciplined, and a man who represents a metaphor, for exquisiteness, for excellence, today. He said, And I quote, he said, the greatest threat to freedom is the absence of criticism. The greatest threat to freedom is the absence of criticism. Now, government must allow not just opposition parties to exist, but for very opposition, you know, parties to exist. Very, very active and robust ones. Government must also allow for avenues for criticism, constructive criticism. Now, because government is not, we said in the last video that government, those in government are not angels. So because they are not angels, they are prone, to making mistakes. And because they are prone to making mistakes, they should have some more checks and balances, not from themselves. I'm not talking about the checks and balances that are provided for, you know, within the three arms of government. I'm talking about checks and balances from the people to the government. So, say when government want to therefore gag the media, gag, free speech, try to limit or reduce the, the possibility of people to criticize the government constructively. It means that the government is heading for doom. Now, because the only way freedom can be guaranteed is when there is the presence, the possibility for criticism, for asking, raising questions, where questions need to be raised. So our leaders are challenged, this morning, to be very, very open, to criticism, and so on and so forth. Now, our next quote is from Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah was a very charismatic politician, very charismatic leader, a very revolutionary mind, an intellectual, you know, uh, 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 Colossus, a man who led Ghana single-handedly to independence in 1957. Kwame Nkrumah was considered in the Ghanaian local, languages, and parlance as the Osojefo, the Son of God, the Light, the Messiah. you know, he was a unifying factor, a figure, you know, that represented Ghana for a long period of time. And he wrote extensively against imperial colonialism and, of course, neocolonialism. And I said a quote, and he said, and I quote, those who would judge us merely by the heights we have achieved would do well to remember the depths from which we started. Those who would judge us merely by the heights we have achieved would do well to remember the depths from which we started. In life, we like comparing ourselves. Often we compare ourselves with our colleagues. We compare ourselves with our contemporaries. We compare ourselves with our friends. We compare ourselves with our siblings. We compare ourselves. Now, to compare is not a bad thing. But when you are comparing, to bring down somebody or to also bring down yourself, it becomes a bad thing. Now, because we must understand the fact that it is not the achievements that we should be comparing. Now, Kwame is saying that we should not just compare the achievements of societies, of individuals, but we should compare where they started from. Where they started from. Because some are born with silver spoon, some are born with golden spoon, some are born with iron spoon, some are born with wooden spoon, some are born without spoon at all. So you don't try to demean yourself. Don't try to, dehumanize, yourself by trying to feel that you don't attain a particular height that your friends have attained, that your colleagues have attained, and so on and so forth. Because for one, everybody has his own time. Second, everybody is not beginning or starting from the same point. So people must be wary of this destructive comparison, and try to be contented, at every given point in time, with what they have achieved and strive for better options. So these are the quotes we have for you this morning. Until our next session, and remember your anchor, Dr. Yororo Stephen Izu. I remind you to please subscribe to our YouTube page to do you good. Thank you very much.